this is One Leeds. Welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, The Job Match Group, and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, The Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, The Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security, and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just a £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. Hello, everybody. My name is Conor McGilligan. This is One Leeds, and of course, this is the Rumour Mill. What is going on in your world? Let me know in the comments section below. A lot of discourse, debate, and discussion today, everybody. We're going to be speaking about midfield dynamics. We're going to be speaking about Savic of Byram Shire. We're going to be speaking about Dominic Livakovic. We're going to be speaking about Milinkovic Savic. We're going to be speaking about a fair few bits, and we're going to get into it in just a second. Everybody nearly choked on my coffee there. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing. Do us a solid, everybody. Listen, going at 10 a.m. every morning for around about 40 minutes to an hour every single morning. Sometimes when there's nothing to talk about is skill. It's talent keeping you lot engaged. So do us a favor, slap a like on the video. Really appreciate that. If you would do so, everybody, let us know in the comment section below what you're thinking. The engagement, interaction, everything with the channel is phenomenal at this moment in time. So shout out to one. Shout out to all. Let's see what regulars are in the building today. Dave's here. Morning, Connor. Just retired, so nice to catch you live. Good to see you in here, mate. I'm very jealous, I have to say that. Morning, Connor. How you doing, fella? All good. Sam the Swerve could be the best name so far, although I do think I've seen Bowden Llewellyn in here. I do think I've seen him. Tom's here. Hey, Tom. Morning, Connor. I think we've had one signing for this week. Longstaff and GK next week. Maybe, potentially, buddy. Potentially. Just caught my 1-year-old dancing to the One Leeds intro. Mate, I get this a lot, you know. It's very embarrassing. I've had wives and girlfriends text me going, Connor, my husband and or said other doesn't speak to me. All he does is watch your live streams every morning. And there we go. I apologize to all the wives and girlfriends out there. I really do. Or boyfriends. There we go. Finally making a live stream. Hi, guys. How's it going? Daniel's in here. Morning, Connor. Not like you to be late, mate. Mate, I'm telling you, you don't get anyone else going for an hour every single morning talking to you guys. You can afford me 6 or 7 minutes. Birthday today. Shout out to you, Zach. Would be great signing if we get Igor Paixao. What's the shirt you're wearing, Connor? This is the Oasis Tar shirt, mate. 10 a.m. bloody heck. Yeah, it is indeed. Morning, Connor, lad. Why the ground screepers behind you doing the mannequin challenge? They've been there all day. They've been there for a while, mate, to be honest, haven't they? Ross is here as well. Morning, all. Can't wait for the new season. Kian as well is here as well. Morning, Connor. How are things? All good, buddy. Bad hair day, is it, Con? You know it, mate. You know it. 100%. I won't take it off for you as well. I won't take it off, trust me. Right, this morning, I wanted to do something a little bit specific before we get into some of the rumours that we're going to speak on today, okay? Obviously, we've got Sam we're speaking on, Sean Longstaff, etc., Goodmanson, Igor Paixão, etc., etc. But there's been more questions today and the other day from a lot of you guys about how Leeds' midfield dynamic is going to basically come into question and what on earth we are going to do, okay? So I wanted to kind of break that down when we get into the video straight away, really. And obviously, I've basically got up here the starting lineup. Ethan Ampadu isn't on the wing. This is effectively what we're going to play in terms of a 4-2-3-1. And the midfield dynamic between hopefully everybody that we get in. So obviously the 3 likely confirmed are going to be Altanaka, Longstaff, and Ampadu as the 3. Hopefully Anton Stack then comes in. So what can we expect from Sean Longstaff in a 4-2-3-1 for Leeds United? He's capable of box-to-box. I think on the ball, he's okay. He's okay. But I think what we're bringing Sean Longstaff for is a bit of a disruptor, physicality, someone who is basically what Leeds are aligning towards with a 6'1" profile. It's someone who is going to be able to dig in certain games, and this might surprise a lot of you when it comes to our Japanese maestro in the midfield, because if we brought Sean Longstaff in for a certain purpose, I think there might be rotation when it comes to Al Tanaka quite a lot, and I'm going to get into that. So Longstaff for Newcastle operated mostly in that midfield three, as we've seen now with Bruno Guimaraes, with Joe Linton, and Sandro Tonali be rotated in that midfield with Joe Willock as well. So how I've got it down when I'm looking at Sean Longstaff is he's not competing with Ampadu. He's competing with Al Tanaka for defensive cover. That's how I think it's going to work. I think if Leeds are operating in a bit of a low block, which we've all agreed we think we should and will do, the double pivot is going to be really interesting in that. And we all love Al Tanaka. But Al Tanaka, for me, if Leeds United are starting in a certain way, only starts in certain games. And it's quite interesting to get into that. So I've got down here, made a few notes this morning. So in a 4-2-3-1 for me, Ampadu and Stack are very likely against the stronger teams, in my opinion. I think they're press resistant, they're better on the ball, and it's a bit of physicality in there as well. And I think Ampadu's a better ball player and ball carrier than Sean Longstaff. Stack and Tanaka against possession heavy matches, I think. So against the bottom half teams, you'd likely put them up against as well. And then you've got Stack and Longstaff, I think mostly against physical dominant midfield. So potentially against, if Leeds are trying to get in the faces of the opposition, I think it'd be more than likely that you'll see Stack and Longstaff. But I think that as well is going to be facilitated when you've got Stack and Longstaff together, that's going to be ideal for a Leeds pressy setup if we are ever doing that in the Premier League, which we have done with Farke. So to simplify it, against top six midfields, with all these four here, in a 4-2-3-1, against top six, you want it to be compact, you want it to be structured, rigorous, you want to be tight as a unit, and you want to ideally be press resistant. So against top six midfields, I think it's going to be Ampadu and Stack. That's what I personally think. You've got physicality there, solid, complete structure, and really good for transition. They're both good ball distributors. I think as top midfields, there is a likelihood he rotates and we actually see Ampadu versus Stack. Because against top six midfield, you've got to think about the physicality in there as well, because that's what they all comprise of now. It's not just technical footballers. It is big, big players. You look at Man City, you look at Arsenal, and Leeds have got to compete in there physically. So I think this is my preference. This is what I think will happen when it comes to the variation now and the fluctuation of players potentially when it comes to Leeds setting up against certain sides. We go down there to mid-table. It could actually be a combination here of Stack and Longstaff if we are in a two. The reason behind that, Stack deep control, Longstaff box to box. Really dead simple, old school midfield. One's covering, one's going. That's against your mid-table teams. But box to box, in terms of all of our profiles right now in the midfield, box to box, the best one is Longstaff. So if you want a box-to-box midfielder in there to aid that balance, because you want to get a goal against the mid-table teams, because let's be honest with each other, guys, it's not just going to be a case of Leeds United only picking up points against the teams in and around the bottom with us. We've got to pick up more points than that. You've got to get a hell of a lot more points. And that's where we're going to have to beat some teams we're not expecting to beat in that middle ground. I think that combines physicality, deep runs with Longstaff, and obviously applies that pressure as well, which is what Longstaff will do. And if Anton Stack's in there, he's brilliant as a single pivot as well. Brilliant as a single pivot. Now, against the weaker teams, I think that's where Tanaka starts. And this is an interesting conversation. An interesting conversation when it comes to Tanaka. Because a lot of you'll say, Connor, you include now Tanaka at all in this team. But it depends how we play everybody. It depends what we're facilitating right now when it comes to this midfield. Longstaff is so interesting in terms of that style and profile of players. Shout out to Ric Flair. The reason that we brought him in is to be box to box. It's to be a bit of a presser, but it's to be physical in that midfield. We mentioned the other day about Willock and Longstaff. Willock is the creative, the innovator out of the two. Longstaff is better in the duel. He's better defensively and he's better box to box. So for me, it's interesting that we brought him in. Because if you bring on Anton Stack, which they're all looking to bring in anyway, that then gives you a completely different profile at the base of that midfield, protecting that back four. So it's styles make fights. It's what team you're working up against. Similarly to what Thomas Frank did for Brentford. Played a 4-3-3 when they wanted to dominate games and thought that they could win, then would move to a back five at points against the tougher teams. We're going to have to be pragmatic in these games. We're going to have to move personnel around, 100%. So against the weaker teams, you could have a scenario of Stack and then Ampadu. Stack and then Tanaka, or Ampadu and then Tanaka. Tanaka dictating play, being that creator. It's a possession-heavy game for Leeds United. You'd expect against Sunderland, maybe, against Burnley, potentially against West Ham, if we can get control of the game and bring the right profiles in. And then Longstaff comes on with 20, 25 minutes to go to protect the lead. But the midfield dynamics now are so interesting. So interesting when it comes to what Leeds are going to do. Because if we are approaching this in the correct way, Leeds are going to have to adapt that midfield to who we're playing. You cannot just simply have what we had in the Championship with Tanaka and Ampadu. You can't. I think you've got to change it. And I think that's why they brought Longstaff in. I think that's why they're bringing Anton Stack in as well. Or there's a likelihood anyway, isn't there? But they're both very different, both very physical. And you've got to look at certain top six midfields, mid-table teams. When you're looking at these top six, when you're looking at mid-table teams, there's an argument how Tanaka doesn't start. Genuinely. And a lot of us will go, Connor, what? He's press resistant, he's the creator. But in these games, when Leeds are deep lying, when Leeds are mid to low blocking, you genuinely could have a scenario. I know we won't do this, but you could have a genuine scenario where you play a 4-3-3. And in the 4-3-3, well, I'll show you on the screen now. This is a scenario which I think could work. It's what's worked with Longstaff before. I'm just going to get it up on screen now so you guys can have a little bit of a visual. Right, let's find it. Okay, found it there. You could have a scenario, and he'll be on the right because that's where Longstaff plays, on the right of the midfield. So you would have this as a scenario. So let me get rid of that. That is what you'd have. So against certain teams, certain teams that are going to press you high, certain teams that are going to be, looking to really force Leeds United back and be physical. You're going to have your more physical players in that midfield. You are, to help out that back line and to facilitate a low to mid block. So it's really, really interesting when it comes to how Leeds are going to go about this, in my opinion, with the additions that we're bringing in that midfield. But Al Tanaka, if we are going down that route, might be a little bit more vulnerable than people think, potentially. I mean, it's a conversation starter, isn't it? So yeah, what do you guys think in the comment section below? Let us know in the comments. Yeah, let's have a look. Good morning, Connor. Although I've been up for 6 hours already, hit me with some good news. Morning, Connor. Hello, everybody. Good to see you here. Groundsman still not moved. No, it's bizarre, isn't it? Morning, everyone. Hey, Rossi. How's it going? Afternoon to all the regulars in here. Chris is here. Morning, morning, mate. Is anybody currently wishing for a full Red Bull takeover? I'm appalled at how this transfer window has been handled, starting by keeping the manager just on fan pressure. Hey, Kingy. Yeah. Kingy always with the pipe bomb. But yes, wishing for a Red Bull takeover. I'm kind of interested to see how this season goes as it is, to be honest with you. I'm not appalled by it yet, Kingy. I'm not at that stage, but I think it's evidently clear. I think it's abundantly clear that Leeds United have to start bringing in marquee signings very soon. And if you are to to believe some of the key reports, we're going to get on some in this video, but we have missed out on some. What I will say is, in terms of when we were last in the Premier League, and we don't know the details, the full details behind it, but I don't think we'll ever have a manager. Well, in the current predicament that we're in anyway, just being newly promoted, I don't think we'll ever have a manager in this scenario like Marcelo Bielsa, who had that pull, who, even when you hear Rafinha talking now, there evidently was a huge pull for him to sign for Leeds United for Marcelo Bielsa. But that was just crystallized in time, wasn't it? So I understand what that is all about. I understand the tactical switcheroos. I mentioned earlier on that there has been times that Daniel Farke has switched things around, has been pragmatic. I do personally believe that in game as well. Not that much, but in game, I do think there has been tactical switcheroos. But the build-up for Leeds United is very similar. It's a 3-1-6, isn't it? And the 4-2-3-1 is regimented. It was regimented for Norwich even when they went up. So, but there has to be changes in that 4-2-3-1. And by bringing in these profiles in the midfield, which is arguably the most important position in the pitch, Leeds have to adapt to certain oppositions. And I've just tried to highlight there in the midfield how that can work around. But we will have to wait and see. Once again, we will have to wait and see. Carl says, sorry, Connor, Amps is not as good as Longstaff or Stack. Different to all three. Okay, fair enough. Connor, if we sign Stack, Ampadu does not play, but not good enough on the ball at Premier League level. Fair enough. Given the impact Calvin had under Bielsa, as the sitting conductor and ball winner, DC Stack filling a similar role. Ampadu, for me, puts his foot on the ball a bit too often in the sixth position. I think a lot of it, to be honest, Kurt, has been continuity for Ampadu in that role. I think he is one of the outstanding central midfielders in the Championship. So for me, the step up is, like we said, with a lot of our players. I think it will be. I think Ampadu will be able to do that in central midfield. The problem is he's been moved here, there, and everywhere because of Leeds' stance when it comes to player recruitment. That Ampadu has had to go at the back. That's just how it is. So I think his momentum has been stopped a little bit. I think it's been stopped a little bit when it comes to building up minutes in that central midfield position. But I think with what I've seen with Ethan Ampadu in that role, he fits into a Premier League double pivot. That's what I believe. I'll be honest, I don't understand where this has all come from when it comes to a lot of the fan base not thinking Ethan Ampadu is good enough. I don't get that. I think he fits a purpose. He fits a role as well. But I think as well, if we just go back to this midfield conversation that we are just speaking about there, I think against top six midfields, I think when you're looking at the double pivot that we have, I think it's Ampadu and Stack. The physicality, the athleticism, I think you have to put Ampadu and Stack in there. I don't think Tanaka fits in that, to be honest with you, against a top six midfield, especially if Leeds are looking to utilize a low block. I don't think so. And then I think against the weaker teams as well, you could either have Stack or Ampadu partnered with Tanaka. That's how I would see it. And as I've said before with you guys, the mid-table sides, of which you kind of want a little bit of a balance in that midfield, some would go Ampadu. I think, against the likes of Brentford and Bournemouth, who are growing now in terms of just becoming these behemoth Premier League sides with so many options, you could either argue an Ampadu or a Stack, in the midfield next to a Longstaff. But I think the good thing is there's a variance. There is a variance, which is positive, I guess. Let's have a look. What you guys are saying. Some of our fans need to wake up and smell the roses. The club has come a phenomenal way since the 49ers takeover. And people don't realise that. Matt says, apparently Olympic Lyonnais is offered for Paixão. Yeah, we'll get on to that in just a little bit. Morning, Col. How's it going, mate? Farke will be gone by October, November. I'm telling you. I think, hi, Carl's in the building. 18-month a member. Shout out to you, Carl Berry. What a legend. Is that 2 years? Nearly 2 years. Shout out to you, Carl. And I just think, when you look at it overall, there is a way of which Leeds are going about this. And what I wanted to speak about before is they need to go out and bring in marquee players. They do. They need to bring in marquee players. And what we've done right now, we spent, 30 million quid, and you're bringing in a little bit of sustenance, you're bringing in a bit of depth. But what I will say overall is, do they need to bring in marquee signings? Of course they do. Absolutely. They need to bring in your Rodrigo Munizes. They need to bring in your Paixaos. They need to bring in your Anton Stacks. Absolutely. Your Milinkovic Savic's. You need to do that. Of course you need to do that. So I understand what Kingy's saying. I understand what people are saying, maybe when they were a little bit underwhelmed by certain aspects. But what I will say is we're only at this point right now. But I think everybody is getting a little bit, maybe some of the key players that we've been linked with. Habib Diarra probably one of them, Siddiqui being another one of them, Milinkovic Savic, what's happening with him if another club comes and picks him up, Paixão. People are going to start thinking, well, is this the pull of Leeds United? Is this the pull of it? I don't know. Okay, a lot of people talking about Boga, Jeremie Boga. Let us know in the comment section below. Has there just been a recent link to this? I've literally just come on here, but let us know. 13. Hold on. Let's have a look. We'll go on to this. Jeremie Boga. That is a name I haven't heard in time. Let's have a quick look. According to a report from Africa Foot, who are not great, guys, I'll be honest with you. They're not great. Cheers as well, Ben. I've just seen you tag me in that. It's not a great source, everybody. From doing this for a while, this isn't a great source, Africa Foot. I'll be honest with you. I think everything I've reported when it's come to it hasn't been ideal. Well, what we'll do is we'll add his little profile anyway. We'll add his profile to the list, and we'll have a look at his stats this season. I've not watched Jeremie Boga, everybody. I'll be brutally honest with you, but let's have a quick look at the Ivorian, I believe. Okay, so these are his stats for this season. Okay, so Jeremie Boga playing for Nice. According to Africa Foot Online, we've just been linked with him. All Leeds have tabled a 13 million quid bid for him. Okay, interesting. Now, I believe he plays on the left. Let's have just a quick look at where he has been playing. Jeremie Boga position. Let's have a quick look. Now, if he does play on the left, this would make a bit of sense. Okay, transfer marks is saying he's a forward. Yeah, left winger. There we go. I thought it was. Yeah, transfer mark saying he's a left winger. So we know Leeds are in for a left winger. That's what we know. Style of player. I believe he was at Atalanta for a bit as well, wasn't he? 3 goals, 2 assists, 24 appearances, goals per 90, minutes per goal. You've got it all there, everybody. Now, this is a very recent rumor. I'm not going to profess to know that much about Jeremie Boga. Cheers, Jim. Apparently, Boga wants a Premier League move. I bet he does. But yeah, that's one on the room mill, I guess. I call it Leeds, just as it is here. But what I will say is Africa Foot, everybody, is one of the bottom tiers. It really is. If I did like a tier list of rumors that I go through and I've gone through for the past 4 years, Africa Foot, I'll be brutally honest with you, it's not great. It is not great. I hope I don't get sued for that, but it's not ideal. So yeah, there you go. We'll wait and see on that one, but I'm not gonna dive into that so much. But thanks for everybody, Ben, tagging me in that post, and all you lot in here as well. Good evening, Connor, says Rog. Watch every night from the Gold Coast, Australia. Love the content. Keep up the good work. Happy with the transfer window so far, but we need to keep it. Number 9 and 10. Shout out to you, buddy. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, and look, we need to bring in marquee signings. Let's not, we can't understate that, but I think you've got to bring in players right now who are going to come to Leeds United, are going to make a difference. The players right now, they're going to make a difference. Goodmanson, I mentioned yesterday. A lot of people didn't like my little video yesterday. Shout out to Carl Bull as well and a few of the other regulars. Now, I've been very positive about Leeds so far. I think we can all agree with that and the signings that we make. But sometimes there is bits about certain players of which we have to talk about, and it's not the full package. And for me, there's a few bits about Goodmanson's game which I'm a little bit okay, that potentially could be exploited at Premier League level. But overall, I'm very happy with the sign. I think it's a really decent signing. It's just a little bit about holding your horses a bit, because there was another Scandinavian who we brought in who was playing for the national team at the time for 10 million quid not long ago. So I know, but if you look at Leal's comments, and it normally gives a very good measure of the player who's leaving. And all of the comments with the Lille fans with Goodmanson leaving have been very, very, very complimentary. So this is obviously very different to Rasmus Christensen, of course. But what I will say about that is, as a signing, I'm happy with that. It's a good signing. Jacobi has obviously been the signing of the summer so far. But when you look at Bornau, when you look at Nemecha, and when you look at Longstaff, who's going to be coming in, they have to be seen really as rotation. They have to be seen as rotation a little bit. But, there is potentially a look at him being similar to Scott McTominay in terms of that box to box. Chris, I've just seen you compare him to Elliot Anderson. Chris, I'd have to push back on that one, mate. I'd have to push back on that one. Elliot Anderson is a fantastic. I think Elliot Anderson is brilliant. I think box to box, deep line playmaker, mid to long range passing is outrageous. I think he's got more quality on the ball, better ball carrier, more press resistant. Look, I'm not going to rewrite things. I think Elliot Anderson is one of the better midfielders in the league. I don't think Longstaff is that, but I think he's good use when it comes to rotation. But yeah, no, for me, Elliot Anderson is a top player. Guys, there is 1,200 of you in the building. Do us a favor, slap a like on the video. I'm just going to take a quick break as well, guys, for our sponsors. Now, Match Bingo sponsor the channel, and they're a fantastic group of lads, all Leeds fans as well. With the link in the description below, everybody, we've got Juve, Real Madrid, I believe it is tonight. They're doing special offers for that as well. You can get 5 cards for the price of 4. Really enjoyable. And as well, for a £5 deposit, you get 10 quid absolutely free. You get 10 quid absolutely free. Get involved. It's well worth it. I'm doing it all the time. And I'm up on it as well. I'm up. I've done well. Also, everybody, as you can tell at the start, we're sponsored by Shop G&O, an e-commerce site trying to make waves in the Leeds United space. We've got the Pet Care Factory who've signed up to Shop G&O, and every business that signs up and lists their shop on Shop Gino, they will get a shout out on One Leads as well. So shout out to Pet Care Factory. You guys know that. Look, I am shouting them out every single day. And the reason they joined was because they're getting cheaper rates to list their shop on a site, an e-commerce site, than Vinted, than Amazon, than an eBay as well. And you save money going on there. There's so many 30% deals, save 30%, 40%, go on there, have a look. Also, with One Lead, you get a free 25 quid membership. So you might as well do that. Everybody, link in the description below. Lewis says, probably top marquee signings I'd like to bring in will be Paixão and Muniz, both skilled Brazilian and could definitely improve our set. Okay, obviously Gudmundsson comes in. We're very well aware of that. Like the temperature, we've spoken about that. Latest, okay. Yarp. Vanja, Milinkovic, Savic, the biggest, most intimidating goalkeeper of all time. Okay, what is the latest on him? According to several reports this morning coming from Italy, Leeds are fully engaged in negotiation when it comes to Leeds and Torino. And Milinkovic Savic is definitely on their radar. Now, we know the three, but the update from yesterday is Nick Pope has effectively just said, I'm not leaving anywhere, and which is bizarre when it comes to Pope. Once again, is it the pull of Leeds United? I hope not. I hope not. And I'm not saying it is, but I hope it's not the pull at the minute, you know? I don't know why he wouldn't want to come to Leeds. You know, big club. We know Newcastle's a big club, obviously, but Leeds, big club. You know, backed by the 49ers, Red Bull. It feels like we've got a really good project right now. New stadium in the works. I don't get why, if you're Nick Pope at 33 years of age, you wouldn't think to yourself, you wouldn't think to yourself, I'm going to be starting for that club, Leeds United. I'll have a release clause in there, of course, and I'll move down the road an hour and 20 minutes. And, you know, I can still live up there if I want. I'm just a bit baffled by that whole decision. And that's where I sometimes wonder, is there just a lack of pull? I don't know. Maybe I'm just speculating, but I was a bit confused as to why you would just completely write that off, to be honest with you. But there we go. I don't know. But so Nick Pope it feels like he's dead in the water right now. Now, Lucas Perry, obviously at Lyon, seems to be still there. He is part of the shortlist. We know that. We've heard that from Joe. We've heard that from Adam. We've heard that from Byram. But the other one is obviously Milinkovic Savic. Now, Leeds officials, according to outlets in Italy right now, retweeted as well by Adam Pope, are considering, and we've reported on this on the channel before, Vanja, Milinkovic, Savic's release clause, which you can see there is 19 million. I think it's pounds, actually, 19 million quid. So Napoli have walked away from negotiation. They don't think he's worth 19 million quid, which is positive for Leeds, but apparently involved in negotiation as well, according to this particular tweet, which is saying Leeds are in engaged negotiations with Torino right now, is Manchester United, who apparently is hot on their list as well, and Monaco. So it looks like Napoli are out the race. It just very much depends on what Leeds United see as worthy. Is it worth going out and getting? I think with everything we've seen of him, and we're going to get onto another goalkeeper in just a second, but everything we've seen of Milinkovic Savic is just ideal for a Leeds scenario right now. Big, imposing, composed, a good penalty saver. He's got a good save percentage. His kicking isn't great, but as I've mentioned before, if we're facilitating a more direct approach when it comes to Leeds United this season, you're just effectively kicking the ball up the pitch, aren't you? And aiming for certain areas. So, yeah, I just see him as a decent keeper. Maybe what Leeds are focusing on a little bit more when it comes to Milinkovic Savic, and maybe where the detail isn't great, is maybe that kicking. Now, if we just move on before we get there to this guy, to Dominic Livakovic. Now, we've seen him play for the Croatian national side. He's playing for Fenerbahce at this moment in time. Let me just read you through some of his stats this season. 75% save percentage. Obviously, it is the Turkish league, so a little bit of context. Penalty kicks saved, 100%. Accurate long passes is in the top 85th percentile in Europe. 30 years of age, it's that experience factor again, has played on the international stage, as we all know as well, in the World Cup, I believe, and Europe. So when you look at Livakovic overall, his long passing, his mid to long range passing is excellent. Unlike Milinkovic Savic's, who sort of stands at a lower percentage when it comes to his kicking out from the back, it's not great. Whereas Livakovic is very good. Reports have been linking Leeds United to Livakovic. I'm not sure that's true. But in terms of a goalkeeper, his stats maybe are a little bit elevated ahead of Milinkovic Savic, according to Leeds, or at least being considered in terms of a periphery option because of his kicking. That might be the outlandish thing. And if Leeds are building up in a 3-1-6 formation like we did last season, or if Leeds are building up in a similar way, trying to be possession heavy dominant, then you need someone who can play out from the back. Is that the right decision? No, not for me. If Leeds play out from the back, Leeds getting relegated. I've said that on here plenty of times before. We're getting pressed into oblivion. We've got Everton, Arsenal, and Newcastle in our first 3 games. And it doesn't get any easier than that as well. If, especially against Arsenal and Newcastle now having Alanga, Isak, and Gordon in the front 3, if you're trying to play out from the back against that, we're getting absolutely picked off in our first 3 games. So we've got to be really cute. We've got to be really careful. And the keeper is the conductor for all of this as well, you know? So I don't know. It depends on what we're going to be doing. Depends on what we're going to be doing when it comes to Livakovic, really. So let's have a look. And I believe Milinkovic Savic has been at Man United before as well, something to bear in mind. Morning, Connor. How you, mate? How's it going? Bullseye Boys TV says, my mate's a Newcastle fan. Says Longstaff is great if you like someone who passes sideways and backwards. Fantastic. But this is why, mate. I'm not so sold. We just can't start telling porkies about what Longstaff is. And I am seeing a lot of it online. He's unbelievable on the ball. He's great at distributing. He's not. He's not. He's energetic. He'll be pressy. He's physical. He's good in the duels. That's why Leeds have bought him. That's your 4-pronger. He's not a fantastic player on the ball. He's not going to start conducting. He's not a massive goal scorer. Yes, he arrives late into the box. Of course he does. And he'll give you a lot of energy, a lot of endeavour, which is exactly what Newcastle fans have been saying on the overall, you know? I spoke to 2 journalists yesterday as well, who were very close to it, and they said all of those attributes. They're the attributes, okay? So it's not he's not. We can't rewrite what Longstaff is, and that's why with Longstaff you have to get Anton Stack. You have to go and get Anton Stack in if you're getting someone like Longstaff. Just elevate that midfield, in my opinion, anyway. Or I mean, you can't have that as a midfield. You just can't do it if you're Leeds United. Guys, let's have a look at just the likes on the building now. We have 422 likes, and we've got 1350 of you in the building. Do us a solid, slap those likes up. It really helps the algorithm. Thank you so much. Noah's ever. I'm not going to try read it, mate. Now is ever Lovshin. Connor Farke is clearly a great coach. And he's shown that man can polish and improve rush diamonds. I trust the man's decision-making process. Yeah, fair enough, mate. No worries. Fair enough. Longstaff gives me Dallas vibes. Yeah, it's a good comparison, to be honest. It's a good comparison. Render says he's a great squad player, Longstaff. Decent Prem experience, but he's not a world beater. But 10 million. It's a decent price. It is a decent price, definitely. This one's a killer. You guys know I've just been... this was the one. This was the one where I was getting so excited. I thought it's gone quiet. We even spoke about it the other day. I thought it's gone quiet. Leeds wanting that left winger. Come on. It appears that Igor Paixao reports are suggesting Marseille, of course it's Marseille again, 28 million euro bid has gone in to Feyenoord. Feyenoord want 30 to 40 million euros. That is what they will only consider. Obviously, Leeds' interest was high a little bit earlier on, but it is extremely quiet now. And there have been several reports online from the French side of things and the Dutch side of things suggesting that Igor Paixão is under, obviously, very, very high consideration when it comes to the French club. Obviously, the bid's gone in, but Feyenoord only want a higher bid than that. I think, I mean, you just look at that record and you look at the players, obviously the player that we brought in from that league, and you just look at the left wingers in particular that Leeds have had a real success with over the past however many years. It is a shame. Igor Paixão would just be an outstanding signing. He would just be such a needle mover. And it's a shame, I think, that now is obviously going to be likely going to Marseille. And yeah, this is one of the ones, you know, the marquee signings. And it's not to be down on at all. It's not to be down on because I think Leeds will have alternatives. I think there'll be a short list. I don't think it'll just be this. But I think he was the one this window alongside with Rodrigo Muniz, of which I've been really excited about. Like a nice little sort of double act going forward of Igor Paixão in a front 3. Oh, my God. Igor Paixão and Rodrigo Muniz. I think in transition, that would have been unbelievable. I think because he's so good on the ball and good in tight spaces. I think once again he's press resistant, so I think that would have worked. And this is the sort of signing where I think the likes of Kingy, the likes of all the others in the chat would get really excited with, and I think it might bring that boiling point up a little bit when it comes to Leeds United fans. I would be like, oh my God. And this is the needle mover. Players like this are the needle movers. So it feels like we know what goes on with negotiation, but maybe with Leeds United right now, we need to act quickly because we don't have that Marcelo Bielsa pull, which we had last time. We have to keep bringing up Marcelo because that was what we had last time. And a lot of people are comparing to last time when we got a lot of deals done, a lot of very good deals done, high profile deals done quickly. It's the issue is now, and this isn't on Daniel Farke, by the way, but the issue is now I feel like Leeds, because they don't have that Marcelo Bielsa-esque pull, have to go out and do deals really early. And Igor Paixao came out around about 4 or 5 weeks ago right now. And I remember speaking to my mate and speaking to a couple of the patrons, actually. And you can join the Patreon as well, by the way, everybody, link in the description below. Become part of the WhatsApp group, updated daily. But I remember having a chat about him. And I remember saying it feels like this one has to be done early. And the one with Rodrigo Muniz, the reason Rodrigo Muniz might be done and we might be able to get him signed, sealed, and delivered is because the amount of money that Leeds pay. And there's not many clubs aside from Spurs interested in him, but it doesn't look like Spurs are going to be doing that deal anyway. So it looks like they're focusing elsewhere. But Igor Paixão, there's going to be 4 or 5 or 6 clubs interested in him. So it felt like Leeds had to get that one done early. Similarly to what Sunderland did with Habib Diarra, they got it done early before all the ridiculous interest started. And there will have been interest in Habib Diarra, and he'll have been well aware of that. But with the window going on and on and on and on, more clubs will have been involved with Habib Diarra. So something getting that deal done quickly was something which was very advantageous towards them. But it felt like with Igor Paixão, as I said, I spoke to a couple of the patrons. I said I felt we had to get that deal done early. But it's still Leeds still might be able to get it done. We might be able to get that signed, sealed, and delivered. It'd be an unbelievable signing. It would be a real needle mover. But right now, it feels like that one is maybe going to be just gone. Obviously, with him in negotiations with Marseille and them getting really close to the fee as well. Let's have a look. When Sunderland come calling, you don't say no, mate. What do you mean, like Petrovic, mate? Where's he gone? Oh, Bournemouth. What's that, mate? What's that, mate? I just don't think we have the pull for these types of players anymore. I think the threat, yeah. I mean, Paixão wanted by Milan, Leverkusen, and Dortmund. I don't know how official that all is, Devano, to be honest with you, but the official one is Marseille. That's the one of which they're looking at. Well done, Connor. Great to see you thriving. Been watching since the early days. Cracking content. Thank you so much, Walkabouts. And I like your name as well. I do enjoy a good walkabout. Let's have a look. What wingers are we going to bring in now? There will be some out there. There will be some out there. But let's say if we're, if you're going for a Jeremie Boga, let's say, as we were speaking about earlier on, I don't think that will happen. But if you're going as for a Jeremie Boga in comparison to an Igor Paixão, I think it is a little bit underwhelming. I do think it's slightly underwhelming. But 49ers need to get the checkbook out. 49ers need to get the checkbook out and break the bank for Paixão. Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's have a little chat about this. Let's have a little chat because I know a lot of you were asking me about it yesterday. Safety Sam signing the new contract. So I think overall with this, and I've had to have a little bit of a sit down and a think and a bit of a discussion with myself a little bit about this. So Beren Cross phraseology and language is a big thing, isn't it? It's a big thing. And I put it out on Twitter the other day. Let's see if it's still up there. Let's see if it's still up there, and I'll copy it on here if I can. I might have done it out on here. I'm sure I have. Let's have a look. Yes, here we go. Right, I'm gonna just prang this on our chat here. Okay, so let's have a quick look at this again. Where is it? Image. Hold on a sec, guys, and we'll get it just up for you guys now. So desktop. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, here we go. So This is what Byram was saying the other day, or it was yesterday, I think. So he mentioned Sam Byram is expected to sign a new contract to filling out, and this was the bit, okay? Filling out the left back department. He'll be trusted. It's the trusted understudy bit. That's the only thing. And it's, expected to sign a new contract. Fine. Okay. No worries, Sam. You can sign a new contract. The good thing is, from what we know, Leeds are going for another fullback. Okay, that was the whole report by the YEP. Leeds are going for another fullback. Now, the question is, what is that fullback? Is it just a right back? Is it another right back as a bit of a Swiss Army knife? We can fill in at left back and right back, but that's kind of what Sam is, and that's clearly what the club sees Sam as. So I feel like what the club are going to do is going for another right-sided player, so another right back. Now, I guess from a discussion, debate, and discourse perspective, if he is a trusted understudy, so let's say second, that I read that as second in line. Okay, second in line to Goodmanson. Now, I guess the only issue with this is the homegrown quota is where it's filled. Now, for me, when I was looking at homegrown, I counted 9. I counted 9 already without Byram. So I don't know if it is the homegrown thing. Potentially it is with outgoings. Outgoings are going to happen, so that quota will go down. Byram is an official, means that we hit that homegrown quota. I think the only thing is, if he is that trusted understudy, in quotes, from Baron Cross at the Athletic, if he's a trusted understudy to Goodmanson, which means he's second in line, that would really, really, really worry me. Because worst case scenario, Gabby Goodmanson is out for, I don't know, 2 or 3 games. And Leeds haven't even got the most difficult games via Premier League level. Okay, let's say we've got, with the greatest respect, we've got Wolves, Burnley, and Brentford, right? I've mentioned this previously. As a left back, which it feels like when you're filling out let's get the quote up again. Sam Byram is expected to sign a new contract, filling out the left back department as a trusted understudy to Goodmanson. Okay, so let's say if he's starting in those 3 games. Now, my whole thing with Sam Byram, it wasn't a personal thing with Sam. Okay, Sam seems like a lovely lad. My massive worry with Sam Byram at championship level was that when he gets pressed, he cannot deal with it. Similar to that of Gruev, but I think Gruev's probably better than Sam. But because Sam is a right footer, when the ball is played to him on that left-hand side, he doesn't really open his body up and use that left foot. Okay. And in the Premier League, best believe that touch is going to be pressed consistently. Okay. So what Sam does is the ball comes to him. He has a closed body approach all the time, unless he's not been pressed. If he's not been pressed, he'll open his body up. But the likelihood in the Premier League is he's going to be targeted if he plays at any point. So he'll have a closed body approach and go back to the goalkeeper. That narrows Leeds United's play. However, maybe in a 4-2-3-1 system, going back to the goalkeeper and then recycling, as long as we're not playing out from the back and building out from the back, if you play the ball back to the goalkeeper, you can go long again. Okay. And we can vary that up. So maybe Sam in these situations wouldn't be too bad, because if he gets the ball, even if he's got a closed body approach and he's being pressed, goes back to keeper, Milinkovic-Savic launches it, Leeds beat that press potentially and get the players up the pitch. The problem is when this becomes predictable. Okay. If he's doing this for 45 minutes, let's say in a game, because saying Goodmanson's going to be fit for every single game, I think maybe is a little bit naive. I think there will be a couple of games maybe where he has out. I don't know. Maybe not. Touch wood, he doesn't. But I just think it is that risk with Sam being there and being the trusted understudy, which feels like, by the way, Byram's been leaked that by the club, because that is a very specific way of putting something. It's very interesting phraseology. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't happy with it in the championship. So I like Sam. No, he's a Leeds lad. It doesn't mean anything to me. It really doesn't. Leeds lad, loves a tackle. He's been here since. It doesn't mean anything to me. Can he survive in the Premier League if Goodmanson is out? I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. And I was quite surprised to read it, to be honest with you. So overall, if we are playing a certain brand of football, okay, a certain brand of football, which isn't a massive problem if Goodmanson's out and we're recycling the ball stylistically back to the goalkeeper and the goalkeeper's going long. If we're not building out from the back, which I'm saying that we won't, we're in a low block, we're a little bit more direct. If that is the case, this might not be the worst thing. It will become predictable. Teams will figure it out and figure out a plan in and around Sam Byram. They might start double pressing him on that left-hand side, by the way, which you see Newcastle do a lot. If they do start double pressing him, that might become a problem. But there are going to be points of which in the Premier League, I think Sam's going to be caught if he is playing. So I thought if he was given a contract, then maybe as like a third option, he'd be coming in and he'd be stepping in and he'd be coming on for like 5-10 minutes at most. And it's a nice little send off. If you want to include a little bit of sentiment, nice little send off. But I think the more technical player, and I think the better physical player, and the player that can probably would be able to adapt maybe more to the Premier League would be someone like Isaac Schmidt. I really like what I saw with Isaac Schmidt. I really liked it. But it doesn't feel like that's a thing. So Sam is going to be in there. And I think it is just absolutely unequivocally key right now that the report that we saw from the YEP says Leeds were going in front of the fullback. That's the context, right? We have to apply context. Leeds are going to go in front of the fullback. So if they go in front of the fullback, can it be someone who covers left and right? If that is the case, that's great. Okay. If you can go out and get Kyle Walker-Peters who can play on the left and can play on the right, great. But is Kyle Walker going to come to Leeds to be sat on the bench? You need to sell him competition. And if Leeds do that and get him in, fantastic. And I believe Kyle Walker-Peters will be another homegrown option as well. So a lot to consider. Yeah, I'm going to get into the comments, see what you guys think. Am I way off? Let's have a look. Could be way off, and that's absolutely fine, everyone. It's subjective in here, of course. This is what the DDD's about. Ashley Young is 40. He's still left back cover at Everton. Makes sense to keep Sam for this season. If we stay up, then move on a new player. Kirsch, that's fine. But I've said this multiple times before to people, are you happy if Sam Byram has potentially 3 to 5 games in the Premier League if Goodmanson's not fit at left back? Are you okay with that? Ashley Young has been a Premier League footballer his entire career and has played at the top level, if we're being right. Yeah. Where is Schmidt? I think he does prefer him on the right, which is why I think Schmidt's leaving. I think Schmidt, that's pretty abundantly clear that Schmidt's leaving, isn't he? Okay. Personally, I will be having Byram as an understudy to Bogle at right back. We'll be getting a left back to push. Yeah. At right back. I think Byram fully knows the deal and he'll be third choice. Okay. Sign Igor Paixao and Hugo Bueno from Feyenoord off that left side. Yeah, that'd be nice, mate. That'd be nice. I think that's what I mean. Like, it just feels like maybe just Hugo Bueno's too high profile. Maybe he's just too high profile. I'm not sure. That could be potentially what it is. Do you know who I think could make the step up? Owen Beck. See if he's actually got, in terms of just getting him in on a loan. And who I think could make that step up on that left side. I think he could make that step up and just be a rotation option. Let's have a look. Yeah, and that's the thing, Jace. That's the problem, isn't it? If Gabby's injured for any point, and I guess this is why when they bring in the fullback cover, that's the context. They've got to bring in fullback cover who can hit the left and the right. It cannot be Sam Byram. Sam Byram cannot be Leeds' left back cover in the Premier League. It can't. We've got to improve the depth. Has to be. Nate says most people seem happy with Byram's second choice. Baffling, in my opinion. Also being people the homegrown quote. You don't have to have 25 players in the squad. You don't need 8 homegrown in a squad of 24, and 7 homegrown is allowed, etc. He is indeed. Hugo Bueno, yeah, mate, 100%. BBC reporter reporting that Everton are keen to sign Harrison. Yeah, I've seen this, JBL. Yeah, apparently Harrison, by the way, everybody, shout out to JBL, is Everton are keen on getting him, but if he's available on a free. So there would have to be some sort of termination of a contract there. Bearing in mind he's got 3 years left on his deal, so that both clubs might have to come to an agreement at some point. Morning, Connor. Hi, Brett. Late joiner. Absolutely loving your new background. Very professional, mate. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate to see you in here all the time. Is that my name backwards? No, it's not. Shout out to you, Ronick. There's my face. Leeds United Comp says, don't think he'll play unless it's cup game, him versus Salah. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. Could be Carl Walker Peters. Don't think we'd hear about transfer all day signing like Nemetra was. Agreed. But I don't know. Overall, let's say if we do get another fullback, it's fine. But I do think it's interesting. A bit of a DDD, I think, this today. Do you know what's made me laugh? The Carl Walker stuff. The Carl Walker stuff. I saw something the other day. I'm having a look on it. I'm going to try to find it. Carl Walker, best signing. I need to find this. Is it on here? This. Here we go. Got it. Let's have a look. So I'm going to get this up now. I don't know if I'm just opening a can of uncertainty here. So this was put out, and they said, "Is Kyle Walker the best signing by a newly promoted club?" And these were put in the conversation. For me, Kyle Walker's a bad signing. I think he's a bad signing for Burnley. Now, for me, the speed drop for this guy and his recovery pace was everything for Kyle Walker. It was everything. We all know that. Listen, he's a decent technical footballer, but that doesn't override his speed. His recovery pace was everything. He got absolutely berated out in Milan. They didn't want to take him to that next level. The Milan fans weren't taken. He basically didn't take to what I think he made about 16 appearances over there. Wasn't significantly good enough. So that's at Serie A. He's joined Burnley, we're going to be in a relegation scrap. So he's going to be on the back foot already. He's not going to be able to utilize any sort of speed when it comes to those overlaps and underlaps he used to use. But there has been, did a bit of research on this earlier on. He was the runner-up in the Premier League speed charts in 2022, clocking 37.1 kilometers per hour, which is outrageous, by the way. Only Mickey van der Ven was quicker. As of December 2024, the quickest his speed and his sprint level peaked was at 27 kilometers an hour, exposing a massive drop off. And that was obviously highlighted when Timo Werner blitzed him twice. I think even his off the ball mobility has been flagged. And Guardiola's obviously mentioned before his notable lack of speed. Yeah, I think you've there was a point of which it felt like any forward could get past him with speed. He's 35 years of age right now. Nah, you'll all laugh. I'd much rather have Jaden Bogle. That's going to get clipped up. I would. More mobile right now. Has got a better upward trajectory, in my opinion. I do not like Kyle Walker in a relegation threatened side. I don't think that works. I think there's been a sharp decline in his play. I don't think it's a good signing. I really don't. I think the glitz and the glamour of someone like Kyle Walker is like, oh my God, Kyle Walker. Not for me. Not for me. I think when there's been that much of a significant decline in 24 months, and you're going to be on the back foot, defending effectively in a low block, which he's not done a lot in his career, I think he's going to struggle. I don't think it's going to be great, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think it's a poor one. I think it's a poor signing. I mentioned on Twitter, I think it's a Rio Ferdinand 2.0. That's what I think it is. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Shout out to NFFC as well. Ola Aina retired Walker, preach. if you know, you know. Yeah, he's the best signing. It's just a profile thing. It's just a profile thing, but it's not. I believe that is a really poor signing. I would not be happy if, and you get slammed because it's Kyle Walker, but he's 35. He's 36 soon, and he's knocked off in 2 years nearly 10 kilometers per hour in his speed. That is ridiculous. That is such an evident decline, especially when Guardiola's coming out and saying there's been a decline in Kyle Walker and he goes to Burnley in a low block. Some may say that'll facilitate it, but his defensive work isn't that great anyway without his speed. His recovery speed is everything. So you might have to move him to centre back anyway. But yeah, Byram probably faster than him. He probably is, mate. You don't bring Kyle Walker in for his speed. You bring him in for his experience and developing professional levels. That could be Burnley's reason. What does that mean? You bring him in for the experience and developing professional levels. So you're bringing in a cheerleader then. Do you know what I mean? You got to think direct on the wages, and I get that's how we'll justify, but on the wages that he'll be on, the marquee signing that's been branched out there, you're bringing him in to be a cheerleader. You're bringing him in on the money that he'll be in the profile that he is to be a Joshua Gilavoggi. That's what you're doing. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's much. But right, guys, we're going to leave it there. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Make sure you're checking out the sponsors. Hit a like on the video. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm back at 10 a.m. every single weekday morning. So you'll have your last, we'll have 2 more to go this week and then potentially Saturday. We'll wait and see. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribed as well, guys. If you're not subscribed and the notification bell switched on, that basically means that you won't get notified when YouTube just does this. You will not be notified when I upload. It's a nightmare. But there has been, I think, around about 1,400 of you peak in this chat this morning. Let's rack those lights up. Check